Well, welcome to the final week of People Skills. This week, we're talking about how to say hard things. You know, when you were a kid, when your dad would say to you, "Well, son, this is going to hurt me a lot more than it's going to hurt you." You know what that meant? This is going to hurt you and I'm going to feel good about it, right? But here at the Springs, we really want to teach you how to say hard things correctly, because we all have to deal with them. We all have to have those conversations. One of the core values at the Springs is that we focus on the things that unite us, not the things that divide us. And we say in the essentials of the faith, we have unity, but in the non-essentials, we have liberty. But in all of our beliefs, we show love. In other words, even if we disagree, we're going to be nice. Proverbs 15:4 said that kind words bring life, but cruel words crush your spirit. Our words can be destructive, or our words can give life. You can break a physical bone and it'll heal in a matter of weeks. But if somebody has been wounded emotionally, it may take years to heal from the scars. We need to be tactful as well as truthful. Have you ever met somebody that they were like proud of their rudeness? They would say something like, "Well, I just like to tell it like it is and let the chips fall." That's not candor. That's rude. That just means you're insecure and you couldn't care less about other people. When Jesus interacted with people, he was incredibly loving and incredibly truthful and challenging. And those are the specific traits that we're focusing on today. That combination of being loving and challenging. That's what makes Jesus incredibly powerful in the lives of so many people he encountered. Jesus knew how to approach people and say the hard things that they needed to hear in a way that they could actually hear that truth. Maybe you yourself have experienced how powerful it is when the person that's challenging you has earned the right because he or she has been very caring in your life. You know that you matter to them. But that person doesn't stop there. It's kind of like an article I saw the title of was, "Jesus was not nice and you shouldn't be either." If being nice means not hurting someone's feelings or not speaking up because you don't want to make that person angry or you don't want to be rejected by that person, then being nice doesn't help anyone. Of course, no one likes to hear that they were wrong. Not now, and not in biblical times, but Jesus was nevertheless willing to tell people when they were wrong because he loved them more than he cared about what they thought of him. See, hard conversations are not easy. They've never been easy. So I want to give you 5 things today that may help you have some hard conversations. And believe me, I've had hard conversations through the years. And just so you know, I haven't always done well with those conversations. And some of those things that I've learned that I'm going to share have been as a result of the hard conversations. Like when someone starts those conversations with harsh words, it's really hard to receive anything they say. It's really hard to look for any truth in what follows because you're on the defensive. You may have been offended by what they said. You might be angry. Whatever the emotions, you block out the message. See, nobody ever changes because another person had to get something off their chest. No one's helped in their lives by being blasted. Nobody. You're never persuasive when you're being abrasive. Proverbs 16:24 says that kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. When you need to share a tough truth, share it tactfully. You know what tact is? Tact is making a point without making an enemy. Some people are more interested in being right than they are being like Christ. Paul said, speak the truth in love. There's a way to say things and a way not to say things. You have to attack the problem, not the person. Change happens when the person we challenge knows that we want the best for them and the best for the relationship. So those 5 checkpoints on how to say hard things to people, the first checkpoint is asking yourself, have I given this person adequate encouragement? If you've been an encourager, the hard conversation goes much more easily. Yeah, if you haven't encouraged the person much, the conversation rarely, if ever, goes well. Having a history of encouragement enables the person to know that you absolutely want what is best for them, for your relationship, and for this situation. When the person you approach doesn't have a history of encouragement with you, you have to be much more careful because the conversation is going to be a lot more difficult. Second, I work on my tone of voice. I want to be aware of that tone when I approach the person I care about. So, you have to practice. My mom always said, it's not what you say, but how you say it that matters. Actually, Teddy's told me that too. I know all too well that a tone of voice can make the same set of words communicate a very different message. So you try to practice your tone, and you practice your opening statement just to hear it out loud. I want to make sure it comes out okay, right? After all, the circumstances are critical enough to address, and you care about that person and you care about the relationship. So practice before you speak. For me, it's just like even before I get up to teach on the weekends, I'll practice. Tone is everything. Third, when you need to say hard things, choose a foundational question. Don't start with, I've got something I need to talk to you about right now. Sometimes a good opener is, when it's applicable, hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of yours, right? You know that I love you. Maybe that could be followed up with, hey, can I give you some truth in love? But can I give you some truth? And so the foundational question, but the fourth is make sure you give the difficult information in 3 sentences or less. Don't ramble. You aren't preaching a sermon. You don't have to do a rant. In fact, never rant when you're trying to offer truth spoken in love. When you think about it, we don't need many words to communicate what we're concerned about. It doesn't take a lot of words to hold up a mirror for a person. An example might be, you were a bit harsh in that meeting. And I've been seeing this in you more and more. That's all you need to say. They're there. The fifth thing I'd give you is one last thing I do. At the end of the conversation, you ask, does this make sense? See, the goal with that question is to let that person know, I'm on your side. I want to help. And of course, I don't do this perfectly. But that's why you have to keep practicing. You have to keep trying, because I know that challenging without encouraging, also known as venting or ranting or attacking, never helps anybody. Too many people would rather be right than at peace. Don't win an argument, win a heart. Stop trying to make points and start building bridges with people. You will drive wedges in your relationships if you always have to be right. Jesus didn't come to be right. He came to win our hearts. This is a people skill we all need to learn and get better developing in our lives. not only to speak truth in love, but just as importantly, be able to receive truth from other people who speak it to you in love.
All my life, I have struggled with insecurities, with feeling that I'm inadequate and I'm just not enough. People come and encourage me, I still struggle with that. I think about how even raising my children, most of my life I raised children, I have 5, as a single parent. And people would always compliment me on what a great job I did with raising my kids. However, things didn't turn out just like I thought being a good parent and making sacrifices would. And so even just recently, I questioned my adequacy as a parent. Sometimes I even question God and I say, don't I deserve a good marriage? Is there something flawed in me that I don't deserve someone to love me? As I hear other women talk about their husbands and I see other relationships that are great, don't I deserve one of those? And God is my Abba. He's my father. And I said, I'm your girl. You're my daddy. Don't I deserve that? So I struggle with that even now. When I came to the Springs, I was married. And in the process of being here, I became divorced. But God had placed me in a beautiful small group. Everyone here is so encouraging. I came here and I was well, established and working in the church I was in. I just felt so loved here. And I wish I could say, as I'm pretty up in age, I'm in my 60s, and I wish I could say I knew exactly what God had called me to and what his purpose is for me. But even at this age, I can't. But what I can say is that this is the place that he would have me to blossom and to be everything, to walk in the fullness of what he called me to be. Our pastors are loving people. I love Pastor Ron's story because he wasn't always in the church. He wasn't a church person. But when he accepted Christ, he just took off. I still struggle with that sometimes, and I've been saved since I was in my 20s. There's things that I wish I could do over, but, as the old people say, can't cry over spilled milk. So I have to move forward, and I found a place that I can move forward in. I found a place that even when I feel inadequate, I know I'm not judged, I know I'm loved, and I can breathe easy and not have to be so uptight about being perfect for everybody, because they're willing to be transparent and show their flaws, which lets me say, hey, we're all flawed, but we're doing this thing together with Christ. Flaws and all. We're yours, Lord. Everything we have, everything we're not, we're yours, and we're doing this thing together. This is my home. This is my home.